the Pro Bowl, who got snubbed from the Pro Bowl. So as we all know, the official Pro Bowl rosters came out. And before we talk about who got snubbed from the Pro Bowl, we're going to list who made it. So in the AFC, it was Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, Patrick Richard, Laramie Tunsil, Eric Fisher, Orlando Brown, Quentin Nelson, Joel Bitonio, David DeCastro, Marquise Pouncey, Ryan Kelly, Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Cameron Hayward, Calais Campbell, TJ Watt, Bradley Chubb, Matt Judon, Darius Leonard, Tremaine Edmonds, Xavier Howard, Trey White, Marlon Humphrey, Stephon Gilmore, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Justin Simmons, Tyrann Mathieu, Jake Bailey, Justin Tucker, Andre Roberts, and Matthew Slater. That was for the AFC. Now for the NFC, it was Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Evan Ingram, Kyle Juszczyk, David Bakhtiari, Trent Williams, Teron Armstead, Brandon Scherf, Elton Jenkins, Andres Pete, Jason Kelty, Frank Ragnow, Cameron Jordan, Brandon Graham, Chase Young, Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox, Grady Jarrett, Khalil Mack, Darius Smith, Jason Pierre-Paul, Bobby Wagner, Fred Warner, Jalen Ramsey, Jairi Alexander, Marshawn Lattimore, James Bradbury, Quadre Diggs, Buda Baker, Jamal Adams, Jack Fox, Young Ho Koo, Cordell Patterson, and Nick Bellore. Of course, a long list, like a lot of roster, a lot of people. So who do you think was a Pro Bowl snub from the AFC and the NFC?
Well, let me start with the AFC. I just want to get this out of the way because you call it homerism, but there are two guys on the Jets that should have been Pro Bowlers, Mekhi Becton and, more importantly, Quinnen Williams. And Quinnen Williams just got straight up disrespected. I mean, the numbers that he has put up this season, he is far and away a Pro Bowler. I understand both of those guys have dealt with injuries, but if you put them on any team that's not the Jets, they easily make the Pro Bowl roster. But in the NFC, I think this guy was the biggest snub out of anybody in the entire league. Trey Hendrickson, it's the guy we were talking about before. He leads the NFL in sacks on one of the best teams in football, one of the best defenses in football, and the numbers are just crazy. Between the sacks, the disruptions, the turnovers caused, the hurries, he is having an incredible year. So for him to not make the Pro Bowl, you just have to wonder what's going into the decision.
Look, for the AFC, I'm going to call homerism, but not for anybody on the Jets, because this guy is near and dear to my heart. I said he was a franchise quarterback last year. I got laughed at. I've always loved Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill was snubbed. And when I look into what goes into Pro Bowl voting, what goes into it? Do we value winning? Is that why Nick Chubb made it over James Robinson? Even though Robinson, you can say, had a better around season statistically. If we value winning, then why is Deshaun Watson over Ryan Tannehill? Ryan Tannehill has 3,482 yards, 31 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 110.4 quarterback rating. Deshaun Watson has 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 110.6 quarterback rating. Yes, Watson deserves to be in the Pro Bowl. He's phenomenal. We know that. But Ryan Tannehill is having a better season, and his team is winning and in firm position to win the division that Watson plays in. So what goes into Pro Bowl voting? Is it winning? Because if it's winning, then Tannehill, if you take winning and production, Tannehill should be the surefire Pro Bowl pick. And then you look at, I just think that the Pro Bowl at this point is a popularity contest.
100%.
That's all it is, which is why I don't take some of these seriously. You look at the NFC, Trey Hendrickson, he's a big snub. And I'm not even going to mention him because you already said it, but Robert Tonyan or Logan Thomas, Evan Ingram, Evan Ingram had 572 yards receiving this year, 1 touchdown on 95 targets and 9 drops. Robert Tonyan had 551 yards, so only 20 less yards, 9 more touchdowns. He had 10 touchdowns on 55 targets and 0 drops. Even if it wasn't Tonyan, let's say, okay, Tonyan is out. Who else in the NFC was more deserving at tight end? Logan Thomas on Washington. He has 570 yards, 5 touchdowns, 92 targets, and 4 drops. So, of course, out of this group of guys, Robert Tonyan should have made the Pro Bowl. The fact that Evan Ingram made it over Tonyan and even Logan Thomas is ridiculous. Evan Ingram is known as a guy who has dropped game-winning passes and game-sealing passes. He's known as a guy who drops a lot of footballs. He's not known as being this elite guy. He's known as having elite attributes that can one day turn into something, but at this point, he's not a Pro Bowl level player.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about it is you mentioned it's a popularity contest. How about the guy I mentioned, Trey Hendrickson? His teammate, Cam Jordan, made the Pro Bowl. How about these stats? Sacks. Hendrickson has 12.5. Cam Jordan has 6.5. Disruptions. Hendrickson has 54. Cam Jordan has 38. Pressure percentage. 16 for Hendrickson, 8.1 for Cam Jordan. Turnovers created by pressure. Hendrickson has 2. Cam Jordan has 1. Hurries. 35 for Hendrickson, 20 for Cam Jordan. So, like, it's clearly, it's just who are the bigger names. And most of the time that works because you look at the roster, and I think 75 to 80% of it is what it should be. But then there's 20% of the league that are not as well-known guys that have great seasons that get screwed because it's just one-third of it is voted on by the fans, and the other 2/3 are voted on by the coaches and players who don't really take it seriously. So, it's unfortunate.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that the coaches and players voted. I thought it was just the fans.
Yeah, 1/3 of the voting is the fan vote. And that is where a lot of the popularity contest comes in. But then 2/3 of it is the players and coaches. But we've seen, I remember when we were talking about the NBA All-Star game last season where the players and coaches have a say, some of the votes for that were just ridiculous. These players and coaches don't really care at the end of the day about their vote. But the problem is they care about making it. I saw a video of Bradley Chubb speaking about making it, and he was, all teared up, crying, especially after what happened to him last season, missing the year and then coming back and earning his spot this year. This means a lot to these guys. And you're talking about Pro Bowl bonuses, like a lot goes into this, and I just feel like people don't take it seriously, and it leads to guys like we talked about missing these rosters.
Yeah, I think the NBA All-Star voting is way better than the NFL's Pro Bowl voting. I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, the fans, if you allow fans to vote on it, it's a popularity contest. If you allow the players and coaches, that's who should have, their votes should matter the most. But if they're not taking it seriously, then what's the solution? How do guys that deserve to be in it are actually in it? You look at some of the snubs. Zach Cunningham from Houston. He leads the league in tackles. He didn't make it. Devin White. Bobby Wagner made it over him, and Bobby Wagner is more, his name is more, is known.
He's a legend. Yeah. He's a legendary linebacker.
But in terms of having a better season, Devin White has had a better season, arguably. Wyatt Teller, one of the best graded offensive linemen in the NFL, missed it. James Robinson, Quentin Williams, who has better stats than Calais Campbell this season, Calvin Ridley missed it, and Shaq Barrett missed it. So these are some notable guys that missed it. At this point, I don't think anybody takes the Pro Bowl seriously, but what sucks is that at the end of these guys' careers, that's how we measure how better a player was.
And there's really not many other judges of, the NBA, we could look at all-pro teams because they have 3 all-pro teams, or all NBA teams, I should say. They have 3 all-NBA teams, and it's really like if you don't make the 3 all-NBA teams, there's a good opportunity for you to make an all-NBA team, and that is a much more inclusive, a more group. Telling group, idea on what that player did that season. For the NFL, there's all pros, but it's very tough to make an all pro team, and there's going to be guys snubbed. Like, there is so many more players in the NFL that there will be guys snubbed from an all pro team that definitely deserve that recognition.
And it's so much
there's
harder.
No other way to give it to them.
And it's so much harder to make the Hall of Fame in the NFL.
100%.
Like, it's really difficult. The NBA, you could do anything related to basketball, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In the NFL, if you're not a guy who's made 7 All-Pros, you're not getting in the Hall of Fame. Like, if you're not a guy who's been, the best of the best, you're not making it. It's just extremely difficult to make it.
Yeah, and I think that this year, was probably the most egregious year that I could remember in my time really following the NFL on snubs and guys who missed it that really should have made it.